Hello, I'm Lynn Henriksen. I teach at Brigham Young University, and I'm going to explain to you today a teaching tip called Peer-tutoring pronunciation contrasts. This is a procedure I came up with the help of some of my mentors, like Donald Bowen, over 40 years ago, and I've been using it for all these decades, and I've always found it to be successful and effective, and even fun for the students. I first wrote it up in the April 1976 issue of the English Teaching Forum, a little article called Peer-tutoring pronunciation contrasts. So that's the original source. It's also been used in the pronunciation book I wrote with some colleagues called Pronunciation Matters. And you see all these pictures, they'll connect with the technique here in just a minute. In fact, a lot of the materials I'll be showing you come from the teacher's manual for Pronunciation Matters. As you see, the back half of the teacher's manual has the black line masters for these cards that we'll be using. This book is out of print, but there is a website, www.pronunciationmatters.com, where you can still go today and download the materials. All right, so now I'd like to explain a little more background on this procedure and actually demonstrate how it works in the classroom. It's designed to address a problem which occurs in many pronunciation classrooms. Teachers have a large number of students, and they can't give individualized instruction to each student. That's one of the problems, right? Especially if they come from different language backgrounds, maybe from Thailand or from an Arabic-speaking country. And the Thai student does not have the same problems as the Arab student does. But that's a problem in many classrooms, pronunciation classrooms. Even if they come from the same language background, they may have different levels of proficiency in English. A Japanese student doesn't necessarily have an R&L problem. They may or they may not, depending on the level. So you can't just assume that if they speak the same language, they're at the same level of proficiency. Also, many language pronunciation classrooms, especially in the past, have been very teacher-centered. And this is a very un-teacher-centered sort of procedure that gets everybody involved in a very non-traditional way. It also builds on work done by people like Judy Gilbert in her book Clear Speech. She has some peer practice activities. Linda Grant's Well Said also has some peer tutoring activities. But this does a lot more along those same lines. The materials that we use are these peer tutoring cards. And I've got them here in different colors. You can use any color you want, white. They, again, you can make them from the masters in these books, or you can make your own if you want. It's not very difficult to draw a hot dog. A little bit harder to draw a hot dog, but not too hard. Okay? You just put them on cardstock, make 10 copies, cut them up, and you've got a set of cards. If you use this for hundreds of pronunciation contrasts in almost any pronunciation problem students may have. The procedure involves putting students in pairs. One student for a time will be the tutor, and the other student will be the learner. Later on, they will reverse roles, and the learner will become the tutor, and the tutor will become the learner. And as a teacher, you have to kind of be strategic about doing this so to get students in pairs where they can help each other. So if this student has an R&L problem and this student has a PB problem, then you put them together. And she can tutor him on R&L, and he can tutor her on the P and B. No barking, no parking, right? Let's start with a fun contrast, which almost all students have trouble with. It's the word stress contrast between the noun compound and the noun with an adjectival modifier, like hot dog. This is a hot dog because it's hot outside, right? This, on the other hand, is a hot dog. Same vowels, same consonants, but a different word stress. And it makes all the difference in the world. One's a Frankfurter, one's an animal that you don't want to see suffer. In the Pronunciation Matters book, we have a story about this, but we're going to jump right to this contrast. So you get start with the cards, mix them up, automatic random sequencing here. And let's pretend that you can do this, and you are having trouble with it, all right? So we put down a hot dog card and a hot dog card. So you're having trouble. Your first step will be to listen, because we believe that perception precedes production, right? So mix the cards up a little bit more, and I'll do your part first, then you can do it, okay? Look at the card and say the whole sentence. My uncle has a hot dog, and you point to the card that I just said. No, not you, you're the teacher. I'm you. You're the learner.
So I should...
I'm sorry, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I should... Can you say it again?
My uncle has a hot dog. Now, if she gets it wrong, I show her. I don't slap her or just say, no, and put it back in. That way she doesn't get embarrassed, okay? Let's try it again. And then let's shuffle them a little bit more here. Okay, my uncle has a hot dog. Now she gets the card. And we continue playing like this until she gets all the cards. And if she has lots of trouble, the cards will be recycled. And instead of 20 cards, she may get 25 or 30. Let's do a couple, and then we'll go to the next stage.
All right. My uncle has a hot dog.
See how happy she is? She got a card.
My uncle has a hot dog.
Show her the card and put it back. And anyway, we'll in the interest of time, stop there. Now, let's give her all the cards. Yeah. Now that she has mastered the listening portion of this and got all the cards, then she's going to practice speaking. After perception comes production. So now it's your turn.
Okay. My uncle has a hot dog. Correct.
And he's happy and she's happy because she can say it right now.
Yeah. Okay. My uncle has a hot dog. No, I said it wrong.
Okay, so now you get more practice speaking.
Okay. My uncle has a hot dog. I think I still say it wrong, right?
Yeah, we didn't give you enough practice. Listen.
Okay.
Anyway, that's how the procedure goes. After they've done this for a while, they could do it with another set of cards. There's a yellow jacket on the chair versus there's a yellow jacket on the chair. Or their English teacher who teaches English, or their English teacher who comes from England, or even a new one today, the wetsuit versus the wetsuit. There are hundreds of these pairs in English, and they're very, very mysterious to students. I have a lot of fun teaching this particular contrast, but I have others. Here's the pan and the pen, the contrast, more pedal boat. There's RL, glass and grass. So as I said, there are lots and lots of potential contrasts you can do this with. And so you didn't have a problem with hot dog and hot dog, but maybe you had trouble with pedal and paddle. So then we would, after you've done enough tutoring, we would switch roles. And you would become the tutor for pedal and paddle. But we won't illustrate all that right now. I have some videos I can put in here. Okay, so you get listening practice first, then speaking practice. Then you reverse roles and he gets listening practice and gets speaking practice. And by then, class is over. I don't do this for a full hour. I do it as a reward in the latter part of class. What if you have an odd number of students? Not even numbers that have pairs. You can do this in triads or even in groups of 4. And then it's even more fun because it becomes competitive. So let's pretend I'm a second student. No, I'm going to be with you. We'll go back to where we were. So you say the hot dog or hot dog, and whoever points to the correct one first gets the card.
Okay.
Competitive game, okay?
All right. My uncle has a hot dog.
Okay.
So I get the card, see?
My uncle has a hot dog.
Oh, now you get the card. And so forth. I should point out that sometimes students get into fights I said it this way. I said it right. No, you said it wrong. And so, it's very important for the teacher not only to set it up properly, but to circulate in the class. And when the arguments break out, the teacher goes and listens and says, no, he said it right, or that was not quite correct. And that keeps the teacher busy too. In essence, that's the procedure. It has a lot of advantages. A whole class of students who have different problems can work on their individual problems all at the same time. They can also boost their self-esteem. You know, they feel like, oh, I don't get anything, but if you put them in the right pair, they can use their strength. If you could do the, what do we say? You could do paddle to paddle, and he can't do paddle paddle. So you've been struggling, but now you can show off where you're strong. It's also a game-like activity, which improves the class atmosphere. Everyone seems to like games. Students get immediate feedback from their partner or from the teacher who's circulating around. Individualization, I talked about it already. Automatic random sequencing, even additional help if you have struggles. Students get to have different roles. They're not just students sitting in the classroom all the time. They're tutoring each other. And last but not least, they get evidence from someone else besides the teacher. Because sometimes they say, oh, that's just that picky teacher. I can really do it okay. But when a classmate can't understand them, then that provides them with some additional motivation for improving their pronunciation. Vowels. There's man, we just talked about. Consonants. We have consonant clusters. One that Spanish speakers have trouble with is illustrated here. The property belongs to the state or the estate, right? We have word stress of the desert versus the dessert. 1914 versus 1940, mostly stress there. Blackboard, there's this one, I should add the wetsuit. And here are some with intonation. Do you want soup or salad? Or do you want soup or salad?